If you wondered what the love child of Pong and Foosball might look and feel like, then Dudelings Arcade Sportsball is the answer. The baby has been born. This is a 1 or 2 player local multiplayer or Steam remote playing game. If you're playing single player, it's against AI and it's quite competent. But the idea is to score as many goals in the opponent's goal as fast as possible, and it will be to a goal limit that you can set up for each game that you play. You don't play directly any players or teams though, and what you'll see is that at the bottom of the screen there's loads of football players lined up in a row. They don't move anywhere, a bit like foosball, but what you can see is a blue and red player, and what you're doing as the two teams, blue and red, is moving left and right across those players, deciding which one you want to momentarily take control of, and then you'll press a button to make them jump, and it's essentially to like fling them out of the set to block or send attacking balls towards the other goal. Now, balls start off as yellow, as neutral, and then whoever's touched them last, it will turn to that hue of colour, so blue or red. So a red ball might be flying towards the blue goal, so you as a blue player will select something that will hopefully be able to jump in time, block the ball, it will turn it into your colour and you can send it back the other way. The problem is, the other player is also trying to wrestle control of that ball, or if you've got modes where you've got multiple balls in play, you'll all be trying to fling as many balls into the other goal as possible. You can't score an own goal, which is great, but you can certainly get the trajectory wrong and send balls behind you instead of forward. There's also an additional button that does a dash jump, and what this does is send up a player really quickly into the sky to block something, but it will also have such force that it will send the ball wherever it's going to go in a much faster direction in the other way, in theory being harder to block. The problem with this is that it depletes your stamina, and you only have a limited amount of stamina that constantly regenerates. But if you send up someone with a dash attack, that player will be not able to move or be used again for a few seconds. And if you do it a few too many times, then you as a player don't seem to move either. The other things that you can do is automatically cycle to the far left and far right, and you can also punch players. And you do this by punching the immediate left and right player of you, and it will stun them for a few seconds, meaning that that player can't be used. The beauty of this is that if you rock up next to your opponent, so blue next to red, you can punch them, and if they're still as that player, that actual real player is stunned for a few seconds and they can't move elsewhere, giving you a good 2 or 3 seconds to quickly run and maybe spank a ball into their goal. All of this is customizable, so the amount of points you need to score, the amount of balls that are in play, and also the power-ups that are in play are all totally toggleable. So you can turn power-ups off that maybe make the ball bigger or smaller. It can turn balls into paper bags that will really catch the wind and fly up high and fast. Or you can turn balls into bowling balls that mean that there'll be a real problem trying to get them to actually float anywhere, and so they kind of get stuck at the bottom of the screen and you have to really like spam to try and get it some weight and momentum to go further. There's other types of power-ups as well, such as making a ball invisible for a little bit or spawning an extra ball, and you can set a minimum ball limit too, so you can start off with 1 but you can go all the way up to 10, and then you can still spawn extras on top of that as well. What I will say though is that if you're playing against AI, if you've got say more than 5 balls in play, the AI gets a little bit focused on defending its own goal and it's kind of stays still and doesn't move very much. So it's the only real negative that I've had with this entire gaming experience, is that the AI just like sits there as if it's overwhelmed, a bit like me with general life. But if you keep the ball limit lower, if you're just playing single player in practice, then you'll still have a really good time playing. There's 3 different modes, so that's the standard mode that I covered. There's then also loop mode, which just has a single basketball hoop in the middle of the screen, and the interesting thing with that is that you can shoot balls in from above and below. So we found ourselves like positioning, one would be trying to egg the ball in and then someone else would position just under and try and just gently nudge the ball in and steal possession at the very last second. So that one felt more tactical. And then there's a volleyball mode, which places a net in the middle, and instead of having just goals to go for, it's whether or not you get your ball off the other side of the screen, over like beating the opponent's side of stuff. And that was fun, but those games, if both players were competent, did go on for perhaps more than they should do and outstayed their welcome. So we found that we actually reduced down the point limit of what we wanted to score with that to make the volley games not feel quite so stale or stale-matey, because if you're both good at the game, you kind of stick at the back rows and just keep lobbing things over, and you have to really, really catch someone unawares to win. I found Dudelings to be a really interesting experience. It's not going to be one of those games that like revolutionises local multiplayer, but it does what it says on the tin and does it exceptionally well. This will be a game that will come out in smaller local multiplayer sessions for me, almost like tournament mode, where everyone will play like a couple of games and then the best goes forward until the winner's there, if we've got like 6 or 8 players playing. And from that perspective, I would recommend this to be added to your local multiplayer arsenal of games, because it's fun, it's predictable, and it's got a solid rule foundation that anyone can pick up and understand, but it's just stupid enough to still be fun in a local multiplayer party setting. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.